Let's move on now and talk about this story that broke last night. Irish singer Sinead O'Connor has died at the age of 56. The acclaimed Dublin performer amazingly released 10 studio albums during her career. The single, I think, that everyone remembers is Nothing Compares to You. It was named as the world #1 single in 1990 by the Billboard Music Awards. Well, joining us now, Steve Denyer, Virgin Radio presenter. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Incredibly sad news. You could almost feel the sadness last night when this was announced.
Indeed. I mean, she was incredibly young. Now, obviously, a very talented singer, and I think everyone knows that song. I mean, everyone knows
the song. Everyone remembers the video. The video,
well, because wasn't it a single pass?
It was a single shot, and then 40 seconds to the end, one solitary tear rolled down. I think it was a left cheek.
So was it filmed? It was all filmed as one.
As one. There's a couple of shots of some outside, an outside area, and her walking through this yard, but pretty much focuses on her face, and the pain is etched on her face. I certainly have never seen anything like this, and that song is beautiful and it's also emotional at the same time, so to re-watch it now, it's got a whole new level of meaning.
And we're just showing the pictures there, as you can see. I mean, it was incredibly emotive. I remember it vividly, actually, when it came
I think most people remember the first time they saw Sinead O'Connor. You've got this woman, with a skinhead, the DMs, the attitude. She was completely unafraid. And remember, a couple of years after this happened, she appeared live on American television and she ripped up a picture of the Pope and literally threw it to the camera, and her career was cancelled in 1992 after that.
Is that right?
Some say it was an incredibly brave thing to do. Music industry said it was a stupid thing to do. So it's that one incident kind of dogged her over the later 30 years.
She had a tricky private life, I think it's fair to say, and of course her son died through suicide, and I don't think she really ever recovered from that.
I don't think she did. The last time we saw her, in public was a video that she put on, I think, her Twitter about 16 days ago. And she said, she looked like she'd really been struggling. She said, I'm just kind of the living dead since I lost my soul partner, the person who understood me the most. And this happened 18 months ago. I remember chatting to Graham Norton, actually, the weekend it happened. And he said, he's interviewed her before, in the good times, in the bad times. But he said, I really, really fear for what this incident's going to do. Her mental health was fragile in any case. She was married 4 times. One of the marriages lasted just 16 days. But she always said, she could find her partner, then she'd feel more normal within herself. And that never happened.
No, and I suppose she was always searching, wasn't she?
Always searching.
And maybe searching for herself.
She became a priest. She then turned to Islam, recently came out as bisexual, and said that she was suffering from bipolar as well. So she's really, really been through it. We had, interestingly enough, there's a documentary coming out about Sinead O'Connor this weekend, and it's released on Sky. And Catherine Ferguson was on Virgin Radio at the weekend talking about this documentary and talking about witnessing Sinead O'Connor on stage 2 weeks after she'd ripped up the copy, the picture of the Pope. And she got on stage, met with boos and cheers, and she was due to sing Nothing Compares to You, but instead she sang the song that she did live on American TV, Bob Marley's War, and the crowd went absolutely berserk. So she owned that moment, and she's never apologised for any of her actions. You have to give it to her.
I mean, again, a very young, very, very successful person, very driven, yet another artist dying early.
Yes.
And there is a sense that many of these great artists are tortured.
Yes.
And they express themselves through their music.
Absolutely, one after the other. You have to look at Tina Turner recently and what she went through. We've lost a lot of people this year, and a lot of very sad, but 56 is absolutely no age
at all.
And I think what makes it more emotional is when you can see one of these events happening, almost like through slow motion, and it happens, and you just go, oh, I really wish you'd managed to pull it together.
I know, it's really sad, actually. I was just reading here, O'Connor was presented with the inaugural award for Classic Irish Album at the RTE Choice Music Awards earlier this year. And she also was known for her support of refugees. She dedicated that award to the refugees there. I think she also got a standing ovation for that as well. Just in terms of, there's a real human tragedy behind this, because, of course, she's survived by 3 children who will be mourning the loss of their mother who died far too early.
Absolutely, and a woman who's been through so much, and she's never hidden how she's feeling or what she's thinking. A couple of the tributes, Jamie Lee Curtis said she once heard Sinead singing in an empty church church chapel, and it's the most beautiful thing she had ever heard. Boy George said, simply devastated. Charlatan's Tim Burgess says she was the true embodiment of a punk spirit, and she really was a pop star in a punk world, and I think that's how we'll remember her.
Amazing. And of course, I suppose the upside is when you die early, you become, I suppose, even more iconic. I remember so vividly Whitney Houston. You and I have spoken about Whitney Houston dying. I was literally down the street from the Beverly Hilton in LA when she died, and again, you know, this was a very tortured woman, wasn't she?
And it sent shockwaves out.
It did.
I think what's going to happen with Sinead O'Connor now, there is this new documentary. Sky have said they will go ahead and put this on their streaming services at the weekend. There's 10 albums to listen to. There's a lot of material out there. Most people only know her for Nothing Compares to You.
So that's really interesting. I asked the production team this morning, you know, how many singles do you know of hers?
Yes.
And they all came back with one.
With one. I would recommend, there's a couple of albums. The first two, The Lion and the Cobra, I Do Not Want What I Haven't Got from 1990, which features Nothing Compares to You, is a work of art as well. But there's so much out there. So let's try and celebrate a very tortured existence.
And maybe she'll get a whole legion of new followers. Did you know Sinead O'Connor?
Well, I'm afraid I fall into that one track.
Oh, you
category.
do. So at least you know.
I remember that one track, but you know, nothing more. But we've seen her over the years. I mean, certainly the conversion to Islam was a moment that a lot of people noticed. Such a prominent person. Adopting visibly Islam. She started wearing the headdress. Obviously, in later years, she's kind of flickered and changed again. So clearly, she was someone who went through phases.
Indeed. Just very sad. Thank you so much, Steve, for that as well. Just very sad when someone of that age dies, and that talent actually dies so
Gone too
early.
soon.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much indeed for that.